언어. 뭐야, 한국어 없어? 미친. 심한데? 튜토리얼만 좀 해보자. 아, 이거 전에 거는 한글이었는데? 뭐 한글 똥개미 된 거. 있는데? 지원 언어, 한국어, 오디오, 자막 있는데? 음. 사운드. 한국어 없잖아, 씨. 엑스박스. 팀에서 봐야지. 한국어 없네, 씨. 베이직.
Greetings. I've been expecting you. I'm Lawrence
그렇다.
Vanderswag, and I want to help you find your way in the world of... Of course, if you want to make money transporting passengers, mail, and freight, you need to understand where the need for new railway lines is greatest. This is, for example, where goods are produced. Have a look at the map. Move the map in all directions and change the zoom level. And now, turn the camera in all directions. Very well. Now take a closer look at the area around the two
샌프란시스코랑
cities, San
세크라멘토.
Francisco and Sacramento.
여기 있다. 세크라멘토. 아, 이 감도가 왜 이래, 이거. 감도 조정이 없네. 참. 게임. 아이씨, 마우스 바꾸고 나가잖아. 마우스 스크롤링 보스. 어찌 화면으로 해야겠지?
Cities and rural businesses are crucial to the transportation business. Cities produce factory goods, mail, and travelers. There is a
연습을
need
해.
for
스타필드
transportation to
하려면.
other cities for these goods. Farms in the countryside produce basic goods and raw materials, which are also needed by cities. As long as there are no railroads, all goods must be transported via simple rural roads. But through the railroad, the old transport routes can be replaced. In addition, cities and farms that were... Take a closer look at Sacramento. Under the name, you can see the size of the city. Sacramento has a steady supply of passengers, mail, and export goods every day. First, construct a railroad station in Sacramento. Open the building construction to select it. Then move it to a valid location within the Sacramento
Train
City
station.
region. It's best to rotate it so that the tracks face San Francisco.
이거 건설하면 다 부셔지는 거? 이거 여기다 건설하면 여기 사람들 다 뒤지는 거 아니야?
By the way, each station can be expanded after construction with up to 2 additional buildings and 7 tracks. However, certain buildings like factories can get in the way of expanding the tracks. Therefore, do not build the station too close to these buildings. Now build the second station in San Francisco. Move the
San
station
Francisco.
to a valid position within the city borders and turn it preferably to the southeast so that you can get well around the bay in the next step.
사우스 이스트. 남서쪽. 이렇게 주라는 얘기 아니야?
Very good. And now establish a track connection between the 2 cities. To do this, open the track construction mode and select the first station track at both stations in turn. The stations will then be connected and the entire track will be shown to you as a preview, which you can still modify.
어? 다리 못 만들어서. 틀리 난 얼굴로 그린데? 트랙 컨스트럭션 메뉴. 오픈 트랙 컨스트럭션 메뉴. 스테이션 트랙. 스테이션 턴. 이렇게 하면 돼.
The preview track follows the shortest path. However, this is not always possible and often not the cheapest solution. Especially tunnels and bridges can be very expensive. In the overview, you can see how the track construction costs are composed.
터널.
To change the course of a proposed track, you can insert track points and then move them. Now set such a track point once by selecting the track. Now optimize the cost of the track with the help of track points. Please note that length, slopes, as well as tight curves will have a negative effect on the travel time of your trains. Then confirm the construction.
이거 어쩔 수 없이 터널을 지어야 돼. 어쩔 수 없어.
Very good. The track has been built and can be used immediately. Now set up a rail line. Now add your stations to the rail line by selecting them one by one. It's enough if the rail line has 2 stations. Now assign the type of locomotive to the train line which all trains should use. At the moment, you have only 1 locomotive to choose from. Now specify how many trains should run on the rail line. To start off, 1 train is enough. The display tells you how many trains are currently active and how many you have requested. For each train, you have to pay the cost of purchasing the locomotive. Now, confirm this cost. Fantastic. The train is now immediately deployed and will soon be on its way. Now, close the edit mode to see the rail line in action. Zoom in on the train and watch it load. The train is loading goods, passengers, and mail destined for the other city. Let's wait until the train reaches the other city. By the way, you can increase the gameplay speed at any time. Also, the game runs faster when you zoom out.
있다. 간다. 개 느리다 씨. 뭐야? 아 이거 너무 빨라. 간다. 옛날에 그 시드마이어 레일로드 이렇게 많이 했어. 이러고 있으면 가는구나 이거. 자꾸 원해로 부르지? 중간에 막 모래 지어주고 막 그러는 건 아직 아닌가? 사람 운전해. 이게 뭐야? 소야? 차다.
The train has arrived and is being unloaded. The numbers rising above the train are the transport revenue.
컴플리트. 이게 50까지 되나 보네?
Hello! In this lesson, I want to give you some additional information about track construction. First, consider the cattle farm with the road connection to Sacramento. The road tells us that the farm can deliver goods to the city. Therefore, you are now to establish a railroad connection between the cattle farm and Sacramento. In order for a rural business to use a station, the station must be set up nearby. This is indicated to you by a line from the farm to the station. Very good. And now build the track between the new station and the station in Sacramento. Don't use the first two station tracks in Sacramento though, because we still need them for the connection to San Francisco.
네.
Great! But before you build the track, I want to explain how you can influence the height of a track. To do this, insert a track point in
영어도
the
잘해.
track and change its height.
글로벌이에요,
See the
글로벌.
controls at the bottom of the screen when you move the focus over the track point.
네. 왜?
With the height of a track point, you can influence tunnels, bridges, and slopes. Now, optimize the track so that no tunnels or bridges are needed, and the track has a length of less than 250
Oh.
kilometers or 160 miles. Excellent. Now, set up a rail
잘
line
만들어.
between the cattle operation and
아, 이
Sacramento. To
똥쓰레기밖에
do this,
없어.
create a new rail line between the two stations, select a locomotive and a train, and confirm the cost. That done, the rail line can begin service. But suppose the demand for cattle becomes so great that one train on this line is not enough. Then you would have to add another train. But this is not possible at the moment because there are therefore, you should now build a sidetrack and define directions of travel so that several trains can operate between the cattle farm and Sacramento. Open the track build mode again. Now select the track at the marked position to insert a switch. Now it gets tricky. You have to lay the new track as a parallel track to the existing one. Parallel tracks are much cheaper and offer many advantages. Move your cursor to the marked position and make sure that the parallel track symbol appears on the cursor. Then confirm the position. Very good. Now the track will continue to be built as a parallel track.
이거 잘해야지
Now
스타필드 할
select
수
the
있어.
last position for your sidetrack near the cattle farm. You will see the complete track with 2 switches as a preview. Then confirm the construction and pay for this track.
하는구나.
Now you have to set directions for the 2 parallel tracks. Otherwise, your trains will always choose the shortest way and not use the sidetrack. Now open the direction mode and select both. Very good. Now your trains can go one way and return the other. Why don't you zoom? But at the moment, you don't need a second train on this route because your rail line can already transport. Open the Sacramento City dialog by selecting the Sacramento City borders. You can select anything except special buildings. Important information about the city is shown here. At the top, the citizens of the city are displayed. Below, furthermore, the current train usage is shown for freight, passengers, and mail. Below, the same is true for mail. So if you want to transport as many express goods to San Francisco, however, this route does not offer any alternative options for several trains. Now you have to change that, but this time with a different method. Then open the track construction mode and build a railway line from track 2 in Sacramento to track 2 in San Francisco. You will see that this track is automatically planned as a parallel track and is therefore very convenient. But 2 parallel tracks do not help yet. We still have to connect them. There is a very practical method for this, the station gridiron. With it, you can connect parallel tracks in front of stations. Select the station gridiron and build it in front of the Sacramento and San Francisco stations. Excellent. Now set different directions for the 2 parallel tracks so that the trains can avoid each other. Excellent. By setting directions, all signals are automatically created here as well. Now your track is ready for more trains.
자동이네.
First, you can simply select the train that is traveling between the 2 cities. Do that. You can also simply switch through all your rail lines. Try that too. And there is a third way. Select the track between San Francisco and Sacramento. Then, a list of all the rail lines that use this track will open on the left. You can also select the desired rail line from this list. Now select Edit Rail Line and increase the number of trains to 2. The cost of this is for the locomotive, which has to be bought new. Fortunately, the wagons cost you nothing. Confirm the cost so the second train can be purchased, and then close the mode. Perfect! Take a close look at the station and the station gridiron in Sacramento. The new train can be created immediately because thanks to the gridiron, both tracks are available to the rail line. The gridiron is more than just a crossover. While the train always chooses the shortest way at a crossover, at the gridiron, free tracks at the station are preferred. You can place gridirons at all parallel tracks in front of a station if there is enough space available, because the more tracks are to be connected, the longer the structure. Since the station gridiron can only be used by 1 train at a time, I wouldn't recommend you to connect more than 4 parallel tracks. Now let's wait for the train.
기차를 기다려? 응. 두 대인데 왜 하나밖에 안 움직여?
And already the new train is
아,
on
여기
the way.
나오는구나.
By the way, the train number of the train you are currently looking at is shown above. Switch through the trains on your train line once. This is useful, for example, if you want to see what each train has loaded. And that's the end of this lesson. You now know how to create switches, side tracks,
ended
parallel
lesson.
tracks, track directions, and station gridirons.
졌다리.
With this, you can already create
야, 이거
any
사운드 잘
complex
나온다.
track system. You'll figure out other objects like crossings as you build tracks yourself.
메인테인 트레이스. 그래, 이거 막 모래랑 워터타워랑 이런 거 지워야 돼. 정비를 해야 돼.
Welcome to my lesson on locomotive maintenance. First, you need to know that all locomotives have different maintenance intervals. Here you can see the current state of the locomotive.
32%.
The lower the condition is, the more often the train has a breakdown and
문제점.
stops on the way.
이 새끼 말하는 거
Locomotives are
스킵을 못하네.
automatically
아,
repaired at
씨.
stations if they have a maintenance depot. To do this, try choosing the station in Sacramento. Here you can select Construct Extension.
어? 이게
Do
여기서
that
짓는 거네?
and take a look at the options available. Then build a maintenance depot. Very good. Whenever the state bar of a locomotive has dropped to about
그러면은 옆에다
60%,
지었는데.
it will be serviced.
옆에 정비창이
Since the
생기네.
Sacramento station is used by both of your train lines, the maintenance depot also benefits both train lines. Now close the station again and select a train line once more. These three bars show the levels of water,
그래,
sand, and
워터,
oil.
샌드,
If
오일.
operating materials are missing, the locomotive will be significantly slower. Water is needed on a daily basis. Sand is needed when going uphill to increase the friction of the wheels. Oil is needed to lubricate moving parts, and the
접지력
amount
올려주는 거.
required is dependent upon the distance traveled. All of the operating materials that a locomotive requires can be obtained
서플라이
at
타워.
supply
서플라이 타워
towers,
지어야 되네.
which must be built along the tracks. Open the building menu and select the supply tower. Now
있네,
build a
있네.
supply tower near each of the marked positions.
여기다 지으라고? 뭔 개소리야? 여기다 짓는 게 아니라? 여기다 지으면 되겠지.
Very good. Both rail lines can now reach a supply tower. You can build them at any position along your lines, but they should be far enough away from switches and stations so that there is one more building that has to do with maintenance, the maintenance post. Select this building type. Unlike the maintenance depot or the supply tower, the maintenance
이건 뭐?
post is not a required building type. It is suitable, however, when many trains come together in a small space because the maintenance post can reduce breakdowns and thus long. This brings us to the end of this lesson. Feel free to look around some more. Once you have finished, this tutorial will end.
레일 라인 옵티마이제이션. 이 시대가 어디까지야? 이거 전에는 그냥 옛날 거밖에 안 됐던 것 같은데.
This lesson is about optimizing rail lines, specifically how to optimize the revenue of a rail line according to its tasks. For this purpose, select a train of the rail line from Sacramento to San Francisco. Since this rail line operates between two cities, it transports
여기 있잖아.
passengers and mail. These two goods are among the express goods because they require fast transportation. Now open the balance sheet of the rail line. Here you can see, among other information, what revenues the selected train had on its last full tour. As you can see, revenue for freight transportation also plays a role.
페이트가
While Sacramento produces meat, San Francisco has cloth. Now consider the costs. Maintenance and fuel are mainly affected by the length of a tour, but therefore there are different locomotives. For example, on this rail line, a mixed-use locomotive is used. This is always good if the load consists of at most half freight goods. If there is a higher percentage of freight, a freight locomotive would be better. Because we now want to test a freight locomotive and one for express goods between the two
하나는
cities.
급행.
Open the research and development section.
이-
Here you will see many technologies that you can unlock over the years. They improve countless aspects of your business. These include higher ticket prices, happier
어디까지 가는 거야?
passengers, and even more modern locomotives. Your current locomotive is the Dunham. Select it
그래도 이게
and
여기까지
let's take a
치네.
look at its data.
저 뒤는 없네. KTX는 없네.
Compare the speed, tractive power, and suitability of the Dunham with the two locomotives to the right of the Dunham, the Derwent and the Firefly. You can see that the fast Firefly has a much lower tractive power than the powerful Derwent. This means that the Firefly is much worse at pulling heavy loads, but much faster at pulling light loads.
퀄리티, 멘터넌스, 리어빌리티, 액티브 파워. 그래서 뭐 어쩌라고? 이건 뭐야?
Now, unlock these two locomotives so you can use them in your rail line. Very good. Now close this dialog. Now optimize the rail line for express goods. Exchange the locomotive for the Firefly and select Express as the load type. Then pay the cost for the new locomotives and close this dialog. Now watch your rail line and use the fast forward function if you like. It will only pick up express goods and it will reach a much higher speed than before. After a while, it will even show the
진짜
express
빨라.
symbol. This means your rail line is the fastest of its time and gets even higher ticket revenue. You don't have to offer an express line, of course. Everything
Good
works
point.
with slower and mixed transports as well. But suppose you have a good reason for this optimization. Then, of course, freight transport is missing. If you can't transport freight on the same tracks, that would slow down the express train. Therefore, you should expand the tracks from Sacramento to San. To do this, extend the two parallel tracks from Sacramento to San Francisco by 2 more tracks.
그 급행
Then
열차랑
build a
일반 열차
station
어떻게
gridiron
더 만들어야
at
되는
each
거죠?
station, connecting each of the 4 tracks. You can just build the new station gridiron on top of the previous one, but be aware that the new gridiron is much longer. Don't forget the directions for the new tracks.
이게 패드로 하기 편하게 하려고. 그다음에 네 개를 다 연결해야 돼?
Now create a new rail line from Sacramento to San Francisco. To make it use the new tracks, you need to set waypoints. To do this, select the following 4 objects in sequence: Sacramento, the outbound track, San Francisco, the return track.
뉴 레일 라인 세크라멘토 투 생 이거 안돼. 이거 왜 안돼? 이거 봐요? 못 봐요. 아 왜 안돼? You need to set waypoint. 이거
Very good. Now use the Derwent as the locomotive.
어
Select freight to be loaded because this rail line should only carry freight.
하고 플레이트 펌펌.
That's exactly how it's done. Normally trains always take the shortest way, but by using waypoints you can specify certain paths. You should also do this for your express line so that the two lines don't get in each other's way. Otherwise, we're through with this lesson. So when you're ready,
이거 원래
you can
4개
finish.
하려면 4개 다 지웠어야 돼. 4개가 끝이었네. 버려. 3개 남았어.
Greetings! This lesson is about how you can recognize the needs of a city and use them to your advantage. I'll also show you how to invest in the production of goods to ensure additional. Open the city dialogue of Sacramento and then the supply and demand list. This list shows you, among other things, how high the stock of all goods is and how high the current demand by
세라믹?
citizens and factories is.
퍼니처, 솔트, 데일리 프로덕트, 리퀴더, 우든 프랭크. 뭐 어쩌라고.
As an example, look at grain. The city needs grain, yet the supply is at 0. This is because the nearest grain farm is too far away and is virtually unsupplied by traditional transportation. The same is true for lumber. So with the help of new rail lines, we could improve the goods coverage of the city. For corn, however, there is some supply.
이게 나중에 가면
Here, a
너무
corn
힘들어.
farm is nearby and goods are transported via road. A new rail line would generate revenue, but would not improve the city's fulfillment of demand until the city has grown too large for traditional transportation. Now, close the list again and look for suitable businesses to improve the city's fulfillment of demand so that the city can grow. To the north of Sacramento, there is lumber, and in the northeast, there is grain available. Now build a station at both farms and connect them to Sacramento, preferably with double tracks and a gridiron.
이제 어떻게 지으라고 얘기도 안 하네. 트레인 스테이션. 또 노스 세크먼트. 아 몰라 그렇지. 중요하지 않아. 여기서 여기까지.
Don't forget to also set track directions and build supply towers. Then set up one rail line for each good so that they can be delivered to Sacramento. We will
이거 이렇게
continue
지으면 안 될
once the
텐데.
first goods arrive in Sacramento.
돈을 땅에 버리고 있어. 서플라이 타워. 뛰었어. 여기까지. 예스. 빰빰빰빰. 이건 기차가 뭐야? 왜 앞에 있어 이게? 여기서 이렇게 집어넣는 거야? 감성 오진다. 이 뒤에 거 밖에 안 굴러가. 이런 이씨. 개똥 게임이네 이거. 이 뒤에 거는 밖에 하나도 안 굴러가? 실망입니다. 대실망입니다. 이거 안 굴러가는 거 말이 안 되지. 딴 것도 그런가? 이것도 안 굴러가네?